Hey everybody, and welcome to my N5 series on the SP404 Mark II, where I cover a topic in about 5 minutes. This is just a one-off session. DS had sent a comment into YouTube asking how to record perfect loops off of external devices, and I figured it's pretty easy to show if I could do it right. I tried just recording this before and flubbed a couple things, so instead of having you watch me mess up a few times, I'm just redoing the video. So the first thing you need to know is you need to go the MIDI output from your SP404 Mark II. You're going to need the adapter probably to go from TRS to MIDI. And then from here, I have the MIDI out going over here to my MPC live into the import. Now, there's a few settings you have to set to get this to work correctly. So one is I'm going to hold Shift and Utility here and go into my utility menu. Under System, you then want to go to your MIDI tab, and you're going to want to turn MIDI sync out to on. And this is going to make sure that any play, stop, whatever signals from your SP404 Mark II will be sent to your external device. This is important for making sure you keep things in sync. Over here on the MPC, if I go to the Home menu, one thing I had to do is I have to set the sync clock to MIDI clock. This is just to make sure that it's going to take the BPM clock from the 404 Mark II, and it will use that instead of whatever it's got internally. The next setting under here, I have to go to the gear icon, and then under here there's a MIDI sync menu. I've just turned on master, control, and track. I'm going to turn track off just because I don't want any MIDI events coming from the 404 Mark II going over to like any pad hits or anything. I don't want it going over to the MPC, so it's just going to ignore that stuff. So I'm just turning that off. Now, sorry if you couldn't hear me for a second there. If you bear with me, the other thing I've got a Patchbay just to make my life easier, but I've got the outputs are basically going into this Patchbay, and I've just patched the outputs from there directly back into the 404 Mark II input. That's just so that I can get the audio out, and it allows me to rewire my mixer and other devices and reroute stuff pretty easily. So if you can go direct, or you can go do something like this if you want. Anyway, so just to show you that I have something playing over here, I'm gonna hit the play button. And this is just going through the SP404 Mark II, so I can do fun things like hit, I can maybe hit isolator. Yeah, I can hit isolator. I can put some of the effects on and off if I wanted to. I'm not doing that today. So we're going to stop so that we're not using the internal BPM for the sequencer or tracks or anything. We're going to be using it off of the SP404 Mark II. Now, what I've done here is one thing I've done is this is still triggering a note. Well, that's annoying. I do have under utility this MIDI sequence note out is off, so it won't send that MIDI event over to the MPC live from the pattern. But what I have done here as well is I just got a 2-bar pattern, and I just created that blank empty note, so I can now trigger the, it's basically starting the pattern, which is set to 115 BPM here. I can do fun stuff with like pattern edit. I can drop the BPM, now it's set down to 64. I can now play really slow. That's not what I recorded the pattern at, but just to give you the idea, like you can change your BPM now, and it's adjustable from one device. I'm just setting it back to 115. Let's exit out. So basically I've got the output for the MIDI out, just as a recap, MIDI out from the mk2 Mark II to the MPC Live 2. The output of the audio from the MPC Live is going into the 404 Mark II. So what I want to do is basically use this pattern to play the BPM that I want to record at, and I can do something like this. So if I hit resample, I'm going to hit pad 3, which is going to get it into record. It's ready to record as soon as I hit this pattern, but I don't want to hit that yet. I'm going to hold shift and start end. And if you can read here, it says end snap on. What that means is if I hit the record, if I time hitting record correctly, just after the 1.1.1 of this 2-bar loop coming back to the beat. So like just after that kick hits, it will then put the endpoint snapped to like that cross where it goes from the end of the bar to the beginning of the bar. So we should get a perfect loop. So let's see if this works. So we got resample, we've got end snap on. Now all I have to do is hit this. It's going to start recording, and I'm just waiting for that beat to come. So as soon as I heard that kick drum, I hit that. We're now, just so you know, we're on pad C3. I don't know if you can read that very well or not, but we're on pad C3. Now if I hit start and end, if you look here, you can see the end part, or the end point is just a little bit back, and that's just before, or like just, it should be just at the part where it loops correctly. So we can check to see if this works. I hit loop, and I can take gate off. I'm just gonna hit the pad. Let's just listen to see how it sounds when it loops. And it sounds like a perfect loop to me. Now, let's say the other thing, and I'm not going to do this because it'll just take a while, but you could conceivably do pad, like you can do pad mutes or track mutes on the MPC. So you could do all of your work on the MPC. You could mute out different parts that you didn't want to listen to for specific sections, or like you didn't want grouped together. So you could make like a drum loop on the 404 Mark II. You could make a piano loop, an arpeggio loop, a chord loop, a vocal loop, whatever. So I think this is like a really powerful way to, whether it's MPC or another instrument, you know, as long as you have a sequencer that's running stuff and you've got instruments you want to record off of, this is just a super fast way, and you just get used to it. The timing's not that bad for end snap. If you're working like at jungle or drum and bass speeds, it might be harder to do, but you know, just practice. You'll get good at it, and hopefully, you know, this will help you guys create your perfect loops that you want to be able to use and get onto your MPCs, or off of your MPC or other devices onto your 404 Mark II. So thanks guys. Keep making beats, keep having fun, and peace. Bye-bye.